Everyone. Welcome to Demo Day 2020. I'm Garrett Westlake. I'm the Executive Director of the Da Vinci Center at VCU, and it's really my pleasure to welcome everybody here this morning. Normally this would be an event that we would do in person and have the opportunity to celebrate our outstanding student entrepreneurs and innovators, and this morning we're here on a Zoom call. So I've had the chance to spend some time this morning with our great local community members that joined us, that are serving as judges and sponsors. And it was so affirming to see the support for our students that came out this morning and is going to be with us this morning. So, first I just want to say, I hope that those of us that are joining us are in good health and doing as well as they can through this particularly challenging time, and that your family and friends are also doing well. We send our best wishes to everyone for continued good health or recovery and navigation through these times as they can. And one of the bright spots of moving to this platform this morning is that we're able to be joined by people that might not otherwise have been able to join us. And so, a shout out to our friends at Ashoka and the Clinton Global Initiative community, as well as the VCCS Pathways students and my other colleagues at Virginia institutions, and even some of those in DC Metro that might be joining us today that represent other entrepreneurship and innovation centers. It's really nice to be able to have an extended family join us here. But none of this would be possible without our local community. And I just really appreciate, Joy and Ace taking the lead this year, doing a fantastic job running the respective Sprint and Pre-Accelerator program. We had absolutely phenomenal talent leading this and navigating the changes of moving to an online structure, and I just am so appreciative of the work that they've done, as well as the Da Vinci team with Lloyd and Kelsey and our students like Rafa that have been phenomenal in helping things run smoothly and putting this together for us this morning. And our friends at VCU Ventures that absolutely have been the backbone of our Health Innovation Consortium and really helped our health sprint run smoothly through their access to clinicians and best practices and validation from VCU Health. So, thank you to all our partners in HIC as well. And to the deans and respective administrators at VCU that continue to support the Da Vinci Center and allow this sandbox for students from across different disciplines at the university. The School of the Arts, the School of Business, the College of Engineering, all of them really come together in Da Vinci to support students of different backgrounds in the pursuit of innovation and entrepreneurship. And we certainly appreciate their support. And finally, the folks that are here with me as presenters today are sponsors and judges. And so, our sponsors are really phenomenal partners in our community. You can see Lloyd's going to share with you that we've got our title sponsor, which is Capital One, and you're actually going to hear from them a little bit later today when we get to the judging process. And we are so appreciative that these sponsors are able to join us this morning. They've served as mentors to our students. And I think a really great testament to the relationship that our students that participate in programs like this have with some of these organizations is that last year at Demo Day, our 2019 Demo Day, two of our students that pitched and got up here and did what the students are about to do today were actually recruited and now work at Capital One. And they work on product teams at Capital One. And so they might not be running their successful startup company that they pitched last year, but they're still a part of our ecosystem. And I think that just shows the synergy that exists between a lot of these sponsors. VCU Health is a member of our Health Innovation Consortium with Da Vinci and VCU Ventures and Activation Capital, all of which are represented here today. And those partnerships are a key fabric of this community that I'm so grateful for. So our judges today, so while you all are getting to just watch and be entertained by these pitches, we've got some incredible judges that are going to help us be evaluating those pitches today. And there's two groups. There's first the healthcare judges, and then we've got our Pre-X judges. And these represent individuals from our corporate sponsors, as well as a lot of our community leaders. And special shout out to Steve at Capital One and that crew for judging in the Pre-X, and for Kelly Powell, who's the chairwoman of our Angel Advisory Board, for joining us this morning to judge, as well as countless other community members that we're so grateful for their time and their leadership and their gift of mentorship to students, because that's really at the end of the day what makes all of this come together, are those relationships. So before I hand it over to Ace and allow him to talk about the Pre-X in more detail, here's what we're playing for today. So we've got awards on both sides of the Pre-Accelerator program and the healthcare sprint. We've got 5,000 to the top Pre-X team, 500 for the People's Choice, which you guys have been hopefully voting on, and we already know who that is, but we'll announce it a little bit later. And then same thing, $5,000 to the top healthcare team and 500 for the People's Choice on the healthcare side of things. So in closing, I just wanted to say what drew me to VCU, almost 4 years ago was a sense of community in Richmond and at VCU. And events like this always remind me of just how important that community is. So thank you to everyone who's joined us today for this agenda. I think you'll enjoy this time together. I appreciate all of us being together, even if it's virtually. And so, I look forward to the 8 pitches that we have. We're gonna alternate between Pre-X and healthcare. I'll pop back up at the end and dismiss our judges, but we're all gonna stick around and continue the conversation while we wait for their feedback, and then we'll announce the winners. So with that, I'm gonna kick it over to Ace Callwood. Ace, take it away.
Garrett, much appreciated, and good morning to everyone else. My name's Ace Callwood. I wear a couple hats. I'm the Director of Communications over at the Health Innovation Consortium, Network Catalyst at VC Ventures. And in a past life, I spent the better part of my career building things. So I've built a couple companies. I've gone through some top tier accelerators like Lighthouse Labs here in Richmond, Virginia, Techstars up in New York. And the Pre-Accelerator for me, I think embodies a lot of the programs and work that I've done with phenomenal people, which is why I'm so excited to be here sharing the Pre-Accelerator with you guys. So a testament to Garrett and the team for putting on a phenomenal program and thinking about the Pre-Accelerator as if it is another accelerator that is competitive. It drives you, it pushes you forward, and it makes you really consider if the thing you're building is the thing you ought to be building. I think for me as the instructor in the Pre-X, that is my North Star and my ethos. How do we not waste our life doing things that don't matter? And how do we get to the core of the problem that we're trying to solve? And ultimately, how do we get to providing the best value for our customers? And as the students have heard me say over the course of Pre-X, how do we get our money out of your pocket? Is how we talk about it, right? So the Pre-Accelerator as a whole is a semester-long program, and really we think from ideation, the conceptualization of a business, if it has legs, how we do customer development, all the way through to can we commercialize this thing and make it valuable for the target demographic that we're trying to serve. So for me, it has been an absolute honor interacting with the majority of these students and supporting Joy over at the healthcare sprint as well. So I'm excited to showcase the companies that we've got for you today. I'll be introducing those companies over the course of the morning, but for now I'm going to kick it over to Joy to share a little bit more about our healthcare innovation sprint. Joy?
Thank you very much, Ace. So to give you a little background around the Healthcare Innovation Sprint and myself, I'd like to rewind to January. I had a conversation with one of my neighbors who works at VCU, Magnus Johnson, about the value of the integration of productization and design thinking into the contextual knowledge of business and healthcare. And having spent more than a decade in healthcare companies in the global space, one of the biggest challenges in a marketing and strategy capability set is building these students, these people, these individuals who have the ability to harness and integrate both design thinking and healthcare contextual knowledge and business. And Magnus looks at me and just kind of laughs and says, you've got to meet Garrett Westlake and you've got to learn more about what we're doing at Da Vinci Center. And so I did. And that conversation was the very end of January, and Garrett and I kept talking and decided that, maybe it'd be really cool to kick off a university-wide healthcare innovation sprint for the first time this spring. So you fast forward to March, and we decided we would kick it off right after spring break, early in January or early in February rather. March rolls around, spring break is happening, and no longer does this seem like the smartest idea we ever had. It seems like a really big challenge because we're all going into an unprecedented era of a different way of operating. And the focus on healthcare is, at this point, pivotal and critical. And so I consulted a couple of the campus partners, and they were amazing and encouraging me and us to lean into this, to say that, yeah, you're biting off a lot by launching this right now, but maybe there's an opportunity to create both impact and tremendous learning for these students. So that's where we're at. We kicked off just about a week after spring break, and unlike Pre-X, these students have only been running a sprint for just over 2 weeks. These students have pretty much only focused on ideation to prototyping. So we said, don't worry about commercialization, don't worry about productization, focus your attention on understanding the problem and stay in that early space of the design thinking process. And so what that means is that what you'll be seeing are different, let's say, swaths, different levels of intensity or depth of the design thinking process as you look at the Pre-X students presenting and as you look at the healthcare sprint students presenting. What for me is also really important to point out is that these students have had no in-person classroom time. They have worked completely virtually on these projects over the last few weeks. And in that, they have been building not only amazing solutions and tremendous products, but they've been learning how to co-create and collaborate virtually. And what I can tell you from being in a global company for more than 7.5 years is that this is a problem that every global company is trying to solve. How do we get our teams to work completely virtually on ideating and problem solving? And so these students have proven that they can do that. And that's a tremendous learning opportunity and experience that they've had, and proven to us that we also can do this. The next piece is these were 8 teams from across the university. And this is an incredibly diverse group of students. The diversity of experience and team composition ranges from engineering, sciences, business, nursing, public affairs, design, and Da Vinci students. The other thing I think, coming from an industry background, I want to point out is that capability set of working across cross-functional multidisciplinary teams is tremendous for these students. And for me to see, having been in an HR role in my last job in the ultrasound business of Phillips, very, very difficult to find. So the skill sets and the experience the students are having from my own vantage point is incredible. And then lastly, we had 8 students, or 8 student teams rather, and the judges had the challenging task over the last few days to narrow down to 4. This was not an easy task because, like I said, these students came together, they did tremendous work, very relevant, and also very challenging to navigate during this time. But they definitely created some things that I personally am incredibly impressed and have learned from, and delighted to see what comes forward today. So I'll pass my proverbial mic back to Ace to kick us off with the collective pitches for Pre-X and the healthcare innovation teams, and wish the teams tremendous luck in pitching. And remember, you're having a conversation with a group of people who are really excited to hear what you have to share. So thanks, Ace.
You know, somebody had to do it. Somebody had to talk to themselves on mute. I'm glad that I got to kick that off for everyone. So we're getting into pitches now. Here's how it's going to roll. We're going to alternate Pre-X and healthcare innovation sprint teams. We've got 8 teams for you, and we are ecstatic to share the work that these students have done over either the past couple of weeks in the sprint or, like we said, the semester for Pre-X. So these teams will have 3 minutes to pitch to you live, and then we've got our esteemed judges and panelists who will grill them for a couple minutes, 4 minutes for questions, and then we'll roll right to the next team. So to kick us off, as I mentioned, I share with the students all the time, how do I get my money out of your pocket as an entrepreneur? This team that will kick us off is absolutely going to get my money out of my pocket and into theirs. They're working on a platform to do your laundry, which for me, as one who cannot stand doing, folding, putting away laundry, this is one of the absolute most awesome platforms that we can think about. So I'd like to welcome a couple students, Aditya, Robert, and Bailey, all from the School of Business, here to pitch to you Jeeves.
Thanks, everyone. Can everyone hear me all right? Cool. I will begin. When I try to click share screen, it says host disabled attendee screen sharing. Perfect. All right. Thanks, everyone. Good morning. My name is Aditya Parashar, and I am the co-founder of Jeeves, which is an on-demand laundry service that offers free pickup and delivery for $1 a pound. Jeeves was inspired by the inefficiencies that surround laundry. We noticed an opportunity when we realized that the average person spends too much time on laundry a month, almost half of American households have shared laundry units, and that the market cap for laundry service is $14 billion with a 10% forecasted annual growth. Enter Jeeves, where software as a service meets on-demand expectations. Our simple yet effective order lifecycle automates laundry for our consumer and saves valuable time. Consumers place an order from home with a desired time of pickup. Our butlers then pick up the order and deliver it to our sanitation consultants, who wash, dry, and crisply fold the laundry before marking it complete. Once completed, the butler returns the item to the consumers, who are satisfied with our quality control and their time saved. In order to begin customer discovery and acquisition, we soft launched several months ago with a $500 marketing budget. We generated a capture of 2,500 people on our website, fulfilled over 100 orders with perfect customer satisfaction, and realized a 74% retention rate with a $204 LTV per customer. Our stages of growth start with increased marketing and advertising to improve traction, partnering with laundromats to deal with influx of order volume, creating a fulfillment center to improve operating margins, and expanding to regional demographics that lack competition yet fit our parameters based on unit economics. Our competition landscape includes laundromats and dry cleaners, which offer offline transactions at expensive pricing. In this service, laundry is not automated, it's simply delegated, and often the consumer still ends up having to put in effort. Tech companies with a similar business model, such as Cleanly and Rinse, are a greater threat. However, this being a commoditized market where price matters, we beat them by over 40% and are partaking in bottom-up expansion, contrary to their method of prioritizing the most populated cities. Other competitive advantages we have are our B2B approach by offering our service as a fringe benefit for employers to keep employees happy, membership structure which offers better pricing, and our software as a service. Our analytics from the soft launch till today are $2,000 in revenue between 118 orders, a 68% profit margin, a $20 average order, and in terms of our customer acquisition cost, we have spent roughly $5 acquiring each customer for them to be spending 4 times that amount. With a $20 order, our goal in each region before expansion is to obtain an average of 25 orders per day, leaving us at $15,000 of revenue a month. Our management team are colleagues who have a background in finance and business management with a shared penchant for entrepreneurship. Moving forward, we intend on investing in our software by allocating funds for development of a more customizable and user-friendly website, along with the creation of an app to improve the efficiency of Jeeves employees. We plan on redirecting cash flow into advertising in order to capture a larger share of the market and maintain growing traction. Once we reach the stage of desired daily volume, we will begin expanding. We are actively seeking investment and look forward to having an accelerated chance to capitalize on this opportunity. Feel free to contact us at the number and email posted and connect with us on social media. And thank you all for your time, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
All right, thanks team. We've got judges now, so we've got 4 minutes for questions. Any judges want to kick us off from the Pre-X judging panel?
I have a question. So you mentioned the competitive pricing for your competition. Can you elaborate on that a little bit?
Absolutely. So our 2 biggest competitors in the business, which are similarly modeled with tech and software, are Cleanly and Rinse, and they both operate pricing per pound at $2.10 and $1.90 respectively. Right now we are operating in profit with $1 a pound, showing that we beat them substantially. Mom and pop shops and dry cleaners that are local also offer similar services. If they do, they are also priced above $1.60 and higher from everything I've seen. So, you know, everywhere we have researched and looked around, we see that we're beating people on price while managing to operate in profit.
Question. Where do you see the challenges from transportation costs in case you have laundromats that are not close to your consumers? How do you see transportation costs impacting your operating margin?
I'm sorry, I'm having a little bit of trouble hearing you. Could you repeat?
Hi, Deb. I just wanted to just see if I had heard you correctly. Did you ask how we plan to deal with transportation costs as we try to acquire consumers in further geographic locations?
That is right.
Okay, brilliant. So that is actually one of I guess our longer term steps that we were planning to move towards. You know, if we were given funding. So while our I believe our first priority would be to definitely take care of the software, which would improve the customer experience for our existing customers. We do plan eventually to expand, and by doing that, we wanted to begin servicing a number of locations that, while may not be the top populations of the United States, such as New York, areas in California that are serviced by our industry competitors, such as Cleanly and Rinse, we are planning. We're planning to acquire relatively close geographic regions such as Charlottesville, Virginia, and Charlotte, North Carolina. And by doing that, we were planning to set up a point of contact that would work as a sort of management, but also taking on an entrepreneurial role. Anything from being a driver to sanitation consultant. They would really be taking control of their area while possibly having at least a stake in their location of Jeeves.
And I apologize if I didn't hear you properly, but if there was something in regard to transportation, we are working and developing a proprietary routing algorithm that will take into account, orders that come in from the regional demographic, and it'll route them most efficiently in order to save the driver time and gas.
I have a question.
Absolutely.
So can you talk about your operation in terms of how you're fulfilling the orders? Because you said you have butlers and then you have...
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So at our smaller stage right now, we've managed to fulfill the orders ourselves. I always think that proper founders will experience what their employees will experience one day. So all of us have taken part in driving around, fulfilling maintaining quality control and sanitation, especially with the new COVID parameters around us. We fulfill our orders in-house currently, and sometimes when we have daily volume that exceeds our average, we go to laundromats and we fulfill them there. We are actually in the talks of partnering with certain laundromats because we are anticipating, an increase in daily volume. So we are probably going to pivot there once we see a point where we can't fulfill it ourselves. But up until now, all orders have been fulfilled by management.
Well, so my real question is, so this is sort of your MVP, right? So when you look at your cost structure as you launch, how is that going to change? Because you're fulfilling in your home now. So how are you going to be able to continue to compete on price as you begin to move more into a market launch?
Absolutely. That's a great question. So as I mentioned in our pitch that we're operating at a 68% profit margin, while those numbers are very pretty looking and saturated, we have factored in the cost of using laundromats temporarily before having our own fulfillment center. And also we have factored in the cost of inaugurating employees into us, and we will still be operating at 25% or higher margin. We also are going to be introducing pricing restructured when we have a better software with more investment. We're going to introduce membership pricing and guest pricing. So our average price will stay about the same, but people who are no longer joining us with a subscription-based model will be paying a higher premium price.
And just to add on to...
Actually, we're going to have to cut you guys there. We're right at 4 minutes, and I want to make sure we keep moving to get everybody through and presented for the day. So thank you to the team from Jeeves.
Thanks so much, guys.
It sounds like we've got some really, really good dialogue going back and forth. I know there were a couple of judges who didn't get to ask questions for this session. Fortunately, Garrett and the team and all of us over at Da Vinci Center will be facilitating some conversations with judges, investors, folks from the community who want to connect with all of these phenomenal student teams. So if you didn't get your question in right now, we will certainly have some time, and when we're all allowed to be in the same place, some face-to-face opportunities to see all of these teams showcased and interact with the awesome presenters. So that brings us to our first healthcare sprint presentation. And through COVID-19, a lot of the conversation has been protecting our first-line responders and healthcare providers with proper PPE, personal protective equipment. In this case, you guys have probably heard the term N95 for the facial respirators that our healthcare providers wear in the health system. Particularly, we've heard a lot about the shortages therein. So this next team, representing the College of Engineering and the College of Humanities and Sciences, is going to be presenting their project where they were tagged into a project at VCU Health, and we're able to drive some real tangible value, specifically around the N95 shortage issue. So please welcome Zuhayr, Ajay, and Eugene from ZAE Healthcare talking about their design for N95 decontamination.
Thanks, Ace. Let me just start sharing my screen here. Can everyone hear me okay? All right, sounds good. So I'll go and get started. All right, so hello everyone, we're ZAE Healthcare. We're a medical innovation team. So we're essentially a team of solvers, and we have an affinity for healthcare, and we're looking to innovatively solve the pressing issues faced by health systems as a result of COVID-19. So how did we get here? As Ace mentioned, there's a lot of demand around getting N95s back out to healthcare workers and increasing the supply to those workers to keep them protected. There were a couple decontamination procedures already published by different agencies, and essentially we came into this sprint with the goal of addressing those PPE shortages and being able to optimize the existing processes. And as I mentioned, when we started this project, there were a couple different setups that had already been proposed and been put in place in other institutions such as Nebraska Med. And after looking at these and kind of talking to Ace and some other members who were present on some of the healthcare sprint calls, we ended up plugging into a high priority project at VCU Health that was being worked on by VCU Ventures and the HIC. And we began ideation tailored to VCU Health's resources around setting up a UV decontamination system for N95 masks. So within 6 days, we came up with the minimal viable product. We came up with space revisions, process elements, and equipment designs in order to increase UV decontamination throughput from 700 a day, that was the Nebraska medicine standard, to 12,000 masks a day. And we did this through designing trellises and designing a setup that would surround the UV light system, and that essentially allowed us to get this 17-time increase in throughput. And you know, this work has been implemented at VCU. VCU Health released a report that had the design work that we collaborated on, and we've got recognition from VCU, from local news networks, and we were even referenced in one of Ralph Northam's speeches. So moving forward, you know, we weren't just satisfied with stopping at the one project, and we actually plugged into another project. Sorry about that. We actually plugged into another project sourcing thermometers for VCU Health employees, as well as a statewide telehealth network for the VAFCC, which is the Association of Free Clinics, as well as a low-cost prosthetic development. And we've used elements of design thinking throughout all of our solutions and all of our procedures. Essentially, we're looking to support healthcare leaders who want to optimize aspects of patient care and healthcare delivery. And our experience with the projects that we've worked on makes us uniquely prepared for the job. We're looking at opportunities within Virginia right now, but we do recognize potential avenues to scale this across state boundaries. And this can really take a bunch of different forms. While we have proposed a consulting firm, ultimately we just love solving these types of problems in this medical innovation space. And we're really seeking the investment and the opportunity to continue to be able to sustain our commitment to medical innovation, especially in the situation provoked by COVID. And we're really happy that our information and our designs has informed and influenced the decontamination efforts of others. The N95 decon procedure has been picked up by health systems in Virginia and hopefully other health systems across the nation and across the globe. And finally, I'd just like to close with a special thanks to VCU Ventures, the HIC, the Da Vinci Center, and our mentor ACE for the support that they provided throughout the sprint. And we're really eager to just tackle any other pressing healthcare issues that arise in this time. And we'd really appreciate if you could reach out and send some of those our way. Thanks.
Great. Jay, much appreciated. Judges from the healthcare sprint, questions?
This is Franklin Boss. I had a question. After you set up the process, how was the process validated it was actually decontaminated?
So based on the previous literature, we found that essentially the coronavirus could be killed with a certain amount of exposure per square centimeter of UV radiation. So using that, I think it was like 2 point something millijoules per square centimeter. We had a team member that basically had a sensor array set up and was able to ensure that we were receiving much more than that threshold of UV radiation across the entire trellis setup that we had.
Okay, just a quick follow-up. Is VCU currently using this?
Yeah, it is currently in use by VCU.
Okay, thanks.
Hi, and yeah, this is Matt Trowbridge. Great work from UVA here. How did you guys hone in on the trellis design? And I guess I'm just wondering, what do you feel it was about your process that helped you kind of see this opportunity when maybe others in the health system hadn't?
So initially, we kind of came at this from the perspective of how do we use the resources that existed around us. And so I think one of our very first ideas was using UV lights from biosafety cabinets that are ubiquitous across health systems. And I know definitely VCU Health has a lot of those in their labs. So kind of working from there is we started doing some research into what UV systems existed, and we wanted to optimize the Nebraska Med system. And how we reached the trellis design is actually we were trying to get a MVP done at the Da Vinci Center, realized that there was this kind of whiteboard holder that looked like it would do the job. And we pulled the whiteboard out of there, put some tape on it. And I actually I think I have a picture of that I can share my screen on again. So this picture right here, we essentially just pulled the whiteboard out of there, put some tape on it, and that became our first MVP. We realized that we could hang masks on there, and a member of the VCU Ventures team had proposed the hexagonal arrangement. And so we kind of combined those two ideas and ran with it.
I love it. So actually, having whiteboards really is critical for innovation, as I understand. So imagine what you guys could make with a foosball table, apparently. Right?
Exactly.
All right, we've got time for one more question from the judges. Any takers?
I've got a quick one. First, great job, guys. This is Nikki Monk. You guys did a fantastic job on this and really showed the value that that the Da Vinci Center and programs like this can bring to real life problems. The fact that you did so much work in design thinking and human factors design was really important in implementation of this. My question goes to your ask. So if I heard you correctly, what you're looking to do is really set up a consulting firm where you do this for health systems. Is that accurate?
So we had some discussion around this, and we think that's one avenue that that this could take. I think another very real possibility is that we just continue working on projects like this alongside existing teams like HIC and VCU Ventures, as we did in the sprint. And really, I think that that comes down to how investment opportunities go, and how as the situation progresses, the direction that we want to take this changes and transforms to meet that need.
All right. Well, again, great job, guys. You guys are extremely talented, and thank you so much for your work.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks again, team. We'll keep it moving, and we'll get back to our second pre-accelerator team, Uyoga Technology. These guys, I've been engaged with them through the entirety of Pre-X, and just watching how these guys came up with a piece of technology, which I'll talk about in a second, but have pivoted from thing to thing to thing to figure out where this makes most sense for a particular target market. And on top of that, these guys, I think, touch on a few trends that are near and dear to a lot of our hearts. Sustainability, reusing materials, recycling, and of course, for the yogis in the room, yoga. So I'd like to introduce Nate, Jem, Trent, and Zuhayr, representing a couple schools across VCU. We've got the Wilder School, the School of the Arts, the School of Business, and College of H&S represented on this team. So I will kick it over to the team to talk about the sustainable yoga blocks that they've built at Uyoga Technology. Team, take it away.
Dude, thanks, Ace.
Oh, thank you.
Can you hear us? So we're Uyoga, and today we're here to show you how the future will be grown out of mushrooms and how we're the ones that are going to make that happen. My name's Nate Vogel.
I'm Trent Jackson.
I'm Jem Roberts.
And I'm Zuhayr Shaikh.
Waste is everywhere. Whether it's natural or unnatural, we as humans are using our resources ineffectively. In thinking of possible solutions to this problem, we came across fungi, some of nature's smartest chemists and engineers. We're asking, how might we use novel mushroom technology to reduce the use of unsustainable materials?
We started out our journey hoping to create pavers made from this technology in efforts to reduce water runoff. Our current focus is on yoga blocks that will provide us to a lower barrier to entry into a market that will ultimately lay the groundwork to a source of income, skills, reputation needed to accomplish these larger goals around sustainable manufacturing. What's beautiful about mushroom technology is that for it to be used in other application, it only takes a small shift in the formula to dramatically alter the results. This will allow us to move into other markets to create more sustainable products around things like insulation, pavers, ceiling tiles, foams, coolers, and filters, just to name a few.
Our mushroom technology uses innovative manufacturing that is sustainably sourced and grown, allowing companies to reduce their environmental impact conveniently and cost-effectively.
Our yoga blocks are sustainably sourced and produced and easily compostable. We give our customers a way to connect with their practice while providing them with a beautiful way to publicly showcase their own beliefs around customer values.
Our starting revenue model is selling our block directly to consumers, and we will simultaneously continue developing our technologies that can be applied to other applications. The cost to produce is currently $5 each for 50 blocks. The cost of raw materials and energy to produce is low, and giving the mushrooms more room and food will allow us to upscale to 100 blocks in the same facility, lowering the price. Cork is a sustainable solution, yet it's not the best. Cork is also not an unlimited material like mushrooms are. While it is a sustainable solution, there's a cap on the amount of cork we can harvest. Cork yoga blocks cost around $15 on average. Mushrooms are faster to produce, can be grown in any geographical location, and consist of properties competitive to cork such as firmness, resilience, and non-toxicity. We will grow out of crop waste, and because that's normally burned, we can actually reduce CO2 emissions by using it. We can obtain this waste free of cost.
Yoga is seeing major growth. There are currently 22 studios in Richmond from which we could partner or can introduce our bio blocks to, not to mention the thousands of individuals. From customer discovery interviews, we have narrowed our customer niche as the seriously sustainable yogi. These yogis will spend considerable time identifying companies who are sustainable and will become fiercely loyal to those brands. There are already strong signals in the market that there is a need for yoga blocks. There are also strong signals that industries are shifting towards more sustainable methods and materials to produce products. Once we further develop and perfect our technology, it will be ready for us to pursue an astonishing variety of applications.
We wake up every morning genuinely excited to grow our company and even more so to grow the future. Please contact us. We really enjoy talking about what we do, and we'd love to hear your feedback and any ideas you have. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Great. Thanks, team. Judges, you're up. Questions?
Hey, this is Jen. Can I jump in?
Absolutely. Go ahead, Jen.
Yeah, so I love, guys, that you've really found a niche place to get started and kind of learn how to develop the product. I'm curious if you understand the competitive economics of other sustainable materials that are also being developed at this time, and kind of what your competition will be in that space.
Do you have anything specifically you are thinking about?
You mentioned kind of in the pavers, like what are the other alternatives that are being developed in terms of materials that could be used in construction? And so what are the economics of those alternative materials? And what would you need to prove out in your building with the yoga blocks?
Nate, you got that one?
Yeah, so the other materials that are being used to create pervious pavers, which reduce runoff, that's mostly concrete, and that needs to be mined. To touch on what we would need to prove to get into that space is we would need to prove that our material is load bearing, that it lasts a long time, and that it's waterproof.
And maybe to touch on a few other areas in that realm around sustainable materials, there's things like bamboo, cork, like we mentioned, and a few other engineered things that people are coming up with. However, what we're noticing is that there is a lot of plastics being produced, and there's a lot of room for people to add alternatives into very different niche industries. So for instance, there's people like TimberPack. TimberPack is doing beautiful solutions around packaging. And that's just one of the applications.
I have two questions for you. One, this is Carrie Roth. One, where do you plan on sourcing your materials? And two, what is the durability once you all have made the yoga blocks?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we plan on sourcing a large majority of the raw materials from Virginia. We are very fortunate to have a lot of farms and be a very big agricultural state. So this will allow us pretty easy access. I'm also in the farming industry, so I already have a few connections with a few of those people that have already given us a pretty good amount of materials. And then what was the second question again?
How long is the durability of your blocks, these yoga blocks?
We're still doing testing on that, but we believe that it's 10 to 20 years.
Great, thank you.
I got a question. I'm looking at Monroe Park over my shoulder, and there are mushrooms growing over there. So conceptually, from the technology standpoint, do you grow mushrooms and then pack them into a block, or how does the technology work? What do you envision there?
Well,
I could
go ahead.
Yeah, I'll just speak to that really quick. So specific strains of mushrooms actually refashion the substrate that they're growing in. As their root structure, called mycelium, take hold of that material, it weaves it into this very, very remarkable material that can be pound for pound stronger than concrete, acoustically insulating, self-extinguishing, and it's kind of these are really smart, hardworking organisms that kind of know what to do, and so we just bake those we inactivate, we cure them, and then that ends up yielding the material.
Okay, thanks. That would be a good slide to put in to demonstrate what the technology is. So,
thank you.
Absolutely. Great, great job, Uyoga. That brings us to our next presentation. We're going back over to the healthcare innovation front, and you'll be hearing a little bit about a vaporized hydrogen peroxide protocol. This team I got to work with personally, and you know, Ashley, as a freshman in bioinformatics, you know, for me, this was just incredible work that she did, and I'm excited to see her share. So I will turn it over to Ashley to share a little bit about her vaporized hydrogen peroxide protocol for decontaminating N95 masks, which you should know a little bit about already. So I will tee it up for her and let her take it away. Ashley?
Thank you, Ace. Let me try to share my screen. Hello all, my name is Ashley Victor and my product is the vaporized hydrogen peroxide decontamination protocol. So although the COVID-19 deaths in the US has surpassed 50,000, our hearts haven't lost hope, our minds haven't stopped innovating, and our lips haven't stopped encouraging. We are mentally and emotionally equipped to tackle COVID-19, but we are not financially equipped. Currently, N95 manufacturers are making 50 million masks each month in the US, which is nowhere near the projected demand of 300 million. The vaporized hydrogen peroxide decontamination process is an effective measure to decontaminate N95s. This is an 8-hour sterilization procedure that evenly distributes hydrogen peroxide over the surface of the N95 mask. This method allows N95s to be reused up to 20 times without damaging its physical integrity. Currently, Battelle is the only company located in the United States that's able to disinfect N95s using this method on a large scale. However, local hospitals have to worry about the transportation costs of sending the N95s, the time delay of receiving the mask, and the risk of contamination of the sterilized mask. To make Battelle's efficient system more accessible to local areas, the commercially available BioCool Clarus C VHP generator allows for local hospitals to disinfect their own N95s in their facility. My product essentially is a protocol that allows local hospitals to gauge whether they're able to afford having a VHP generator in their facility. My protocol includes a formula in which individuals would plug in the appropriate values to determine the cost effectiveness of having a VHP generator in their facility, and it compares the value to purchasing new masks. Also, we're looking into expand this feature by doing a cost comparison between the different decontamination methods. My protocol also includes a flow that guides users through a step-by-step process to see if their facility meets the parameters of having a VHP generator in their facility. So approximately there is 1,821 rural community hospitals located in the United States that could potentially benefit from using this protocol. The current decontamination methods in place is the UV sterilization system, which allows N95s to be reused up to 10 to 20 times. However, with this method, sometimes UV light may not decontaminate the inner layers or the elastic strap of the N95. Another method that's being used in place is the ethylene oxide gas sterilization. However, the problem with this method is that it has potential hazards toward the staff and the healthcare workers. Another method we looked into was bleach disinfection. However, it often leaves a residual chlorine odor. And there's other heating methods we can use as well, but it's also shown to have like a physical damage to the N95s. And we obviously have Battelle's system, the VHP method, which is highly efficient. It allows 80,000 N95s to be decontaminated every day. However, my protocol brings the decon system to the hospital itself. So during the COVID-19 crisis, we can obtain a Creative Commons license on this protocol. And after the COVID-19 has passed, we can still use the VHP generator to sterilize other medical equipment. Thank you all for listening.
Great. Over to the judges. Questions?
Yes, I'd like to know, how does the hospital buy the machine or do you buy it?
Essentially, the hospital will buy the machine, but the product is like a protocol, so it allows them to see if they're able to, if this is a cost-effective method for
So
them.
how do you get paid?
Revenue wasn't the specific thing I'm clicking on, but however, after the COVID-19 thing has passed, we were thinking for each download, we would get paid for the protocol.
Right. Other questions?
So this is Matt Trowbridge again. Really great job. I really loved watching across these teams, given the short amount of time you guys had to think about these things. Seems like all of you guys kind of revealed moments where the health system itself wasn't able to kind of see some options right in front of them. What have you learned about that? And what do you think, if you had, what was your take? What do you think was your ability to see maybe an alternative pathway?
So essentially, I guess the ideation process, if that's what you're asking, would be, I looked at all the different methods that we talked about for decontaminating the N95s, and I tried to find like the strengths and weaknesses. And the primary thing that I was looking at, like why, so essentially the question you're asking, why isn't people looking at this method? And it's because there's only one facility located in the United States that's able to do it on a large scale. So I guess the whole like transporting the contaminated mass and the cost of packaging everything, that's like the real hassle. So for like the smaller healthcare systems, the smaller rural communities, like those hospitals, maybe they could benefit from this.
Well, I hope you keep that nimble mindset as you go into your larger career, because that was great.
Thank you.
Ashley, have you had the opportunity to validate your model in any health systems? Or if not, how would you go about validating the model so that you could prove to prospective customers that it works?
Yeah, good question. So given the short period of time, like the 2 weeks, I wasn't able to. But if I were to go about that, I would first start locally, and I would see if this, I guess it'd be Richmond or anywhere, like I would see if, like I would fully flesh out the protocol, because right now I only have a working prototype, and see if it's easily readable, if people are able to follow the calculations, and if people are able to use the flowchart in a way that makes sense to them. And I would get as many eyes as I can on it, so, like they're able to actually use it and see if this method. And also I was currently thinking of like expanding it. We can go into a website, or I can do like an automated cost calculation for them, because currently it's just like a paper formula that they have to put in themselves. If I were to further work on this, I could potentially go into that route. And to see if this like actually works, I just need to get as many eyes on it as possible, and people need to learn more about the process, because I feel like that's another issue. Like not many people know about it. So like gaining awareness by starting at local hospitals and seeing if that works and expanding it further. Hopefully that answers your question.
Question, what's the BioQuil unit used for now?
It is used for it is used for the purpose of decontaminate like medical equipment. It's not specifically used for N95 masks, but we can use it. We just need to have an enclosed like area.
All right, I'm gonna cut us there. And Franklin, I know that you are very much involved in this community, and so if there's a conversation for you and Ashley at some point, I certainly think that ought to happen. That brings us to our next presentation. Back over to Pre-X. I want to introduce a team from Comprehensive Rehabilitation Solutions. So Eugene, as the sole founder here, is going to share a little bit about the prosthetic program that he has developed for Ghana and West Africa and beyond. But I think he's thinking about how we get prosthetics to low-income individuals at an affordable rate. And he's doing some incredible work. So I'll turn it over to Eugene with Comprehensive Rehabilitation Solutions. Eugene, take it away.
Okay, thank you, Ace, for the opportunity to present. So I'm going to do it in a different style. I'm going to play a video instead of a live pitch. So I guess you can all see my screen, right?
Yep.
Hi, my name is Eugene Ablodope, a co-founder of Comprehensive Rehabilitation Services, CRS. Our mission is to take low-cost physical rehabilitation, such as prosthetics, into patient homes. Over 145,000 people are living with limb loss in Ghana. The problem is these amputees are stigmatized and they are unable to work or continue their education because they cannot afford to purchase prostheses. Why? Because the prosthetic services are either not accessible or too expensive. The prosthetic market in Ghana is valued at $160 million US. Our customers are mainly people with lower and upper limb amputations. Looking at how huge the market is, a prosthetic company in Ghana will be a boost to encourage research in rehabilitation. Our solution is to provide low-cost personalized prostheses. We do this at the patient's convenient place and time. We also give our patient the necessary training to enable quick adaptation and reintegration into the society. We have developed a website for patients to check out our services and to schedule appointments. These images show services we have rendered to our past and current patients. Our goal is to provide home services, low-cost prostheses, and quick process time. We will reduce costs by utilizing recycled prosthetic parts, less expensive but durable materials, and incorporate 3D printing in our manufacturing process. We will generate revenue from customer payment, donated recycled parts, insurance companies, and worthy sponsors. We are competing with 2 companies in Ghana. These companies do not provide home services. They use 3 weeks on average to examine, fabricate prostheses, and train patients. Our company will do this within a week, and their services are also very expensive. Our customer acquisition channels are patients who schedule appointments using our website, hospital referrals, organizing community outreach, and we also accept walk-in patients as well. We have a 5-year growth plan. This includes establishing a clinic with cutting-edge machines and 3D printers. We will partner with insurance companies, then acquire a mobile clinic to reach out to remote communities. And finally, we hope to expand to other West African countries. We are a team of certified prosthetists, a biomedical engineer, and an expert in digital health. You can visit our website and social media pages to know more about us. Thank you.
Great, thanks, Eugene. Judges.
Hey, Eugene, it's Matt Briggs. I appreciate it and really appreciate the mission-oriented nature of what y'all are going after. It's really inspiring and one of the ways I get energy out of these things. So I just awesome job. One question, and I noticed this in reviewing some of the material, it looks like competing on cost and you being a lower cost provider is kind of a key tenet going forward. Can you talk a little bit about how you plan to maintain that advantage as you scale and then also in some of the early days of getting into the market?
Okay, so I made mention in the pitch video that so we are trying to incorporate 3D printing, and most importantly, we are trying to use recycled prosthetic parts. I believe using recycled prosthetic parts will help reduce cost of prostheses in Ghana. Have I answered the question?
Cool, thanks.
All right, any other judges' questions for Eugene?
Yeah, Eugene, just one more here.
want to echo everything Matt said around the excitement of seeing such a mission-oriented company. Can you, I'm a little bit lacking on some of the context. Can you walk us through why there are so many amputees in Ghana, and is that trend increasing, decreasing? What does that mean for your business?
So yes, there are so many amputees in Ghana, and the trend is increasing. The thing is, we only have two, let's say, rehabilitation centers in Ghana, and these rehabilitation centers do not only provide services for amputees. The thing is, the prosthetics are really expensive in Ghana, so they don't really provide services to amputees. And yeah, the population of amputees are increasing in Ghana, and there's no solution to their problem. I mean, yeah.
Great. Thank you, Eugene. We'll keep it moving and jump into our next presentation. Judges, thank you for the questions. So next up, we've got a team, multidisciplinary team here from Masters of Product Engineering, Urban Planning, and the School of Nursing. So we've got a good swath of folks. And really they're thinking about mental health for our healthcare providers. So Your Mask First, which I think is a phenomenal name if you think about being on an airplane and being told to handle your oxygen mask first. This app is geared towards helping first responders and healthcare providers manage their mental health so they can continue to take care of patients. So I'll introduce Amna, Teresa, Rosette, Melissa, and Grace from Your Mask First. Ladies.
Awesome, thanks Ace. We're also going to share a video, so let's see if this works. Okay.
Hello and welcome to our presentation for Your Mask First. During the COVID-19 outbreak, roughly 71.5% of medical workers in Wuhan, China experienced some sort of psychological distress. Medical workers are significantly more likely to experience psychological distress during this pandemic. Long shifts, uncertainty, lack of equipment, and the higher risk of contracting COVID-19 themselves can take a toll on their mental health. So how might we provide medical responders with timely and user-focused emotional well-being tools and resiliency resources to alleviate psychological distress and mitigate grief and loss throughout disaster and pandemic responses?
This is Your Mask First, a well-being app that promotes first responder resilience. Essentially, we're trying to make it easy for the medical community to access resources and tools to help them in various areas to buffer or mitigate psychological distress. Each page has a crisis button on the bottom right side that links to the disaster distress helpline for immediate support. There are also links for immediate psychological first aid tools. After you log into the app, you're encouraged to take the Wellness Wheel quiz. The Wellness Wheel is a developed psychological tool used in the community that categorizes wellness in 8 categories. These are emotional, social, physical, environmental, spiritual, occupational, financial, and intellectual. And the idea is that as humans, having wealth or security in these categories is necessary for your well-being. We created questions based on it to assess the user's strengths and weaknesses in each category. At the end of the quiz, the results are shown along with feedback and a link to the user's weakest areas that has tools, steps, and resources to address that need. This was done to provide control in a situation where that is often not felt. The 8 sections provided assist the user in addressing their needs based on their Wellness Wheel results. Let's look at the emotional page now. All sections have buttons at the top that allow you to navigate to the resource based on how much time you have available. Need It Now resources like these are examples of specific offerings that support the unique stressors of the medical community. These are research-backed resources that mitigate long-term mental health effects. All sections also include free community resources that are offered by partner organizations for medical work in the families like Headspace Premium. The Get Help section welcomes people to seek additional professional counseling if desired. Here, we reiterate the crisis button if users want to speak to a professional immediately. Finally, we briefly explain the process of telemental health, connect users free telecounseling platforms like NeuroCore Counseling, Talkspace, or WISA that are offering free services.
Finally, the profile section shows the wellness wheel history and progress. You can sign up notifications that provide positive affirmations or self-care encouragement, and can retake the wellness wheel quiz again or complete micro-journaling with guided prompts. Join Your Mask First as we build an emotional well-being app for medical workers. They've told us that we're worth it during COVID-19. Will you help us tell them that they're worth it too?
Great. Thank you. Judges, questions?
Yes. How do you get paid for this?
Yeah.
Is it like a subscription or?
That's a great question. So some of what we kind of focused on in terms of brainstorming ways that we could get paid, our priority during this time was really to develop a product that we could rush to market to meet the immediate needs during COVID. But as we think about the fact that this app and the need for this app doesn't go down as the as COVID winds down, that we feel that there's an opportunity to build out our model for how we get paid, either through something like a freemium subscription or working with partnerships with these telemental health apps to see if we can work out ways to get paid through a portion of how they get paid. In addition, I think a third thing that we've really brainstormed without having a ton of expertise in is really thinking about, is there a model that could look like structuring this how EAPs operate for general employees, but looking at offering sort of an EAP service through healthcare systems where the hospital system would take on a share of paying for users to utilize an app like this?
I would think that this is really desperately needed in the healthcare community without the COVID-19. And I just think it's great that you've come up with it. So good job.
Thank you. Thank
you. This comment, I found this a very intriguing platform, using it since you're a nurse and using it for current situation, but there's also a high rate of burnout with doctors here in med school, first responders, even students. So you could actually use the platform to customize it for many different customer bases, customer profiles. So I found it most intriguing from that standpoint as a platform.
Thank you. Yeah, we completely agree, and that was something we discussed a lot, is how we could adapt the text and the way that we communicate, because that would vary based on our user pretty substantially. So that's a wonderful point. Thank you.
Is there any competition for you right now?
It's interesting. This was something that I think perpetually surprised our group. And we put this on I think on the poster for sure in the executive summary. In terms of first responders, there's some apps to support police officers and firefighters. But thinking about the medical community specifically, we really couldn't locate an app that's focused on mental health and well-being for first responders. There's a lot of websites that offer information and resources, but it's frankly just a lot to weed through. So as far as we're aware, there's not really anything in this space targeted specifically for the medical community.
Yeah, and to add to that, I can say I'm a nursing student and I'm in the hospital a lot, so I'm working with a lot of different people, and I've talked to people about this app, and they said they've never come across anything like that. They've never had anything specifically targeted to their needs and problems that they may be facing. So yeah.
Yeah, this is Matt Trowbridge. I agree with that. I'm a physician up at UVA here. And yeah, I would say that the general topic of burnout has been treated very abstractly. So I think your opportunity is to kind of, I think in a moment of COVID, where actually, I think people are realizing there's literally PTSD from first responders and in particularly markets like New York City and stuff like that. So I think my encourage, if you guys continue to move with this, I think getting specific, like breaking open that general blanket term of burnout and things like that, and really targeting to your point, like I think we can now think about very specific circumstances and encounters and different types of counseling and support services. I mean, like right now, UVA is pushing out very generic sounding emails, which is great, appreciated, but this would be, I think you could partner with groups like university hospitals. I think that would be a great place for you to work. So great job. This was a really good project.
Thank you.
Great. We'll keep it moving, but it sounds like you guys have a couple places to follow up and a couple opportunities to have conversations with certainly the judges. I'd imagine there are some folks in the audience who are interested as well. So good job. Brings us to our seventh, our penultimate presentation. And I want to introduce the Mann sisters, as they call themselves. We've got Destiny, Asha, and Imachus, who will be presenting Kids to Kids. And you know, as a former homeschooler myself, what they're really talking about is some of the soft skills that you know, being at home with parents and siblings don't necessarily get us, but a peer-to-peer or kid-to-kid network of coaching and soft skill development. Seems like a really awesome opportunity. So Destiny and Asha are both sociology majors at VCU, and then their younger sister Imachus is a sophomore who is homeschooled and joined us for the Pre-X. So welcome the Mann sisters presenting Kids to Kids coaching.
Hi, thank you so much. Thank you. Let me share my screen. Here we go. All right, let's have this. Hold on. There we go. Can everyone hear us? And see? Okay, I think pretty good. Okay, hold on, Chris. Okay, so I'm Destiny. And I'm Asha. And I'm Amicus. Kids to Kids Coaching is an online self-development program for kids. Kids to Kids Coaching was born when our family began our 5-year world tour of the planet. During this time, we lived and homeschooled in over 20 countries. From this, we expanded our perspectives, engaged in various cultures, and most importantly, developed highly valuable soft skills. Yeah, so technology is taking over many of today's jobs, and we are moving towards a future where one's ability to communicate, coexist, and lead is essential to the vocational, social, and self-developmental success of the younger generation. Kids are lacking skills in these areas, and Kids to Kids coaching is a solution that will deliver these soft skills.
Our online self-development program will be delivered through 12 core topic modules. These modules will teach kids ages 10 to 18 the key soft skills based on enduring life principles.
Having been homeschooled for over 10 years and attended public school for 2 years, we understand the needs and wants of both the homeschool and public school communities. We know homeschool parents often look to one another for more and new and varied educational opportunities for their kids. Thus, the approximately 2.5 million homeschoolers in the US represents a viable niche market. Our top 3 competitors are GoStrengths, eLearning, and Soul Kids. Now, unlike our competitors, we offer a program created by kids for kids. And kids relate and connect with other kids better than they do with adults. So they thus have a stronger influence on one another.
Our revenue model is based on 2 subscription options, $50 per month and $260 per year. The initial startup cost is estimated $18,319 with not all the services being needed full-time. Our growth is based on 2 assumptions. First, there is a homeschool market growth of approximately 15% per year. And second, there is a 5% point increase from year 1 in years 2 and 3 to accommodate international expansion.
All right, now the soft skills that this program will deliver are based on life principles and habits that were valuable in the past, are valuable now, and will be even more valuable right after and long after the current COVID-19 pandemic is over. Now, by the time your children, grandchildren, nieces, and nephews enter adulthood, the opportunity to master these priceless skills will be significantly more difficult than if they were to master them now. We are determined to make Kids to Kids coaching the best program available for kids' self-development. If you have any questions, feel free to ask now or contact us with the info on the slide. Thank you. All right, we stop.
All right. Thank you, ladies. Over to the judges.
I've got a question. First, I'm a big believer in the importance of soft skill development. So, kudos on the mission-based, company here. I want to understand how you're going to get the kids to create the content, and then also how you're going to validate the content and, see how other kids, may be able to apply those learnings or teachings to real world situations?
Yeah, so throughout the 5 years that we were traveling, we were actually creating the content as we were going along. And now that we have a variety of content that we have learned from our travels, learned from people who are in the industry as well, like John DeMartini, Tony Robinson, Brendan Bouchard, people like that, that's where we are compiling our content from, and then creating in a way that kids can understand and relate to. So that's where we're the creators of the content. Whether we will be delivering the content as in like us being the face of the content is still under consideration, depending on how quickly we get this out, which we plan on getting out pretty quickly. And then
by the end of the summer.
Yeah. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, and just one other thought here. You guys should meet Trilogy Mentors. They're a local startup. Guy who founded it is actually a U of R grad. Garrett, I know you know those guys. I thought of them as I read your materials and listened to your pitch. A little bit different, but I think they're a little bit further down the path and may be able to provide some good insights in a fairly related field.
Definitely.
Thank you.
Hey, I had a quick question. It's Matt. One, kudos on, you talk about like hard problems to solve. This is definitely a hard one. So kudos on going after a meaty problem. One thing that strikes me in this space is the importance of the actual interaction and kind of the feedback you get from the interaction to reinforce the learning. Like, how do you think about kind of balancing the classroom or like the instruction, like, hey, here is information versus, creating some substitute or alternative for, what is ultimately like as close as you can get to a person-to-person interaction?
Yeah, so we want to incorporate live coaching as well as we expand. So with kid mentors, like mentoring one another and helping to bringing in the kids who we feel are influential, have a lot to offer in this area of soft skills, and allowing kids to be able to connect with these people and connect with one another as we are as they are learning the content as well. So with that, and then we really want to make sure that the program that we're offering is less of a school and academic based style and format of deliverance, so that the kids feel like it's not another day at school. This is something that is to some degree a lot more valuable in the sense that it will carry them throughout their future. So that's a format that we really want to follow, which is less academic style and more of future-based soft skills and things like that. Yeah. Hope that answers your question.
Yeah, thanks.
Great.
This
Any
is
other
Matt
questions from
Burbridge.
judges?
Yeah,
Matt, go ahead, Matt.
Well, first of all, are you guys available like later this afternoon to help me with my own kids? That would be fantastic.
Sure.
Not kidding at all. I do think actually, I think you're nailing it. I think you have a great idea. I do think maybe to reiterate something I heard in the feedback, I think maybe adding to your pitch a specific set of examples of what you mean by soft skills so that people don't confuse it with just like an academic tutoring or something like that. So I think that would be a great way to do it, because I think you really do have an opportunity here with like the COVID pandemic of people suddenly realizing that there is this, this need for peer-to-peer kind of encouragement with kids. So great job. That'd be my one suggestion for your pitch in the future.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
And I'll build on that. I appreciate in the pre-COVID focusing on the homeschooling, but I think the reality, even for a lot of schools and how they're responding, like I also could use your help this afternoon with my 3 children, because the schools, a lot of them are addressing the academic needs, but there aren't a lot of tools to support, even with private schools, right? They're used to actually providing a lot of this with their students, but there aren't a lot of tools for them to engage with their student base. So just also thinking about kind of what are some of the newer opportunities that are advancing themselves, because this is going to be, having distance learning is going to be something that will continue to happen for it is now the new norm. And so just thinking about how it might be an offering for some schools that kind of are going to have this on the ready for when this happens in the fall.
Right, yeah, definitely. We're definitely looking in the future to expand towards making this available to schools. That way they can utilize it in a way that public school students who are not homeschooled can actually access this and just grow from this as well, and not just the homeschool students who we're targeting at the moment.
Great. All right, we'll cut it there. Thank you, sisters, and appreciate the judges and your feedback. Sounds like there's some buy-in for what you're doing. So if there are folks to follow up with, we'll facilitate that. That brings us to our last but not least presentation. Lastly, from the healthcare sprint, we've got the team from Know Now, and they're really tackling COVID-19 telehealth and the issue that even if we get kits in hand and we get resources to folks at home, who knows what to do with the results if you're not medical professionals. Know Now helps parse some of the information you might get from an in-home kit and test, and helps you understand what the next step should be. So I'd like to introduce a truly multidisciplinary team here again from engineering, business, the School of the Arts, and H&S. We've got Sean, Christopher, Carissa, and Emily with Know Now COVID-19 telehealth. So I'll let you guys take it away.
Thank you, Ace. I'll also be presenting from a video today, so I'm going to share that. Hello, my name is Carissa, and I would like to introduce Know Now, our proposed telehealth system. Our current focus is addressing unnecessary testing for COVID-19 that requires visiting a medical facility. During this crisis, people are leaving their homes to be tested out of necessity or fear for themselves and for their loved ones. And data shows that during the 2009 pandemic, emergency departments increased by 750,000 or more, as did the percentage of avoidable visits. A fear factor brings very real consequences. Know Now is designed to bring your questions about COVID-19 treatment or testing to and alone. Over 90,000 healthcare volunteers responded to aid, but currently there's no system to strategically place them to make the greatest impact wherever they are. Know Now is a system that seeks to give this vast number of volunteers a way to contribute by connecting them with your questions and your needs. Our most likely competition in this arena would be at-home test kits that are being quickly developed in response to the pandemic right now. However, unsupervised at-home testing kits can be dangerous and don't address the issues of confusion or of unnecessary testing. And so rather than competing, we hope to partner with any test kit companies that gain approval by offering users professional guidance through our telehealth system. Know Now means getting real answers from a certified medical professional without leaving the safety of your own home. On the website we've developed, volunteers could verify their credentials and register, while patients could specify what questions they have and make calls. A call directs you to a healthcare volunteer who will talk you through your symptoms or your questions face-to-face. And if you do have symptoms for COVID-19, you'll be guided through options for treatment or potentially to visit a healthcare facility if necessary. Now, if you were to call with a self-test kit, you could receive a walkthrough on how to conduct and understand the test and its results. This means no confusing questionnaires, no long survey forms, because the goals of this product are to address the fear-based testing while aiding healthcare workers and healthcare facilities. Because of the overwhelming number of healthcare volunteers, Know Now would be volunteer-based only during the pandemic response. However, in the future, we are hoping to implement the system on a broader scope to improve access to instant care and professional guidance while decreasing unnecessary costs to healthcare facilities and patients. We want to partner with healthcare facilities to improve triage systems, as well as healthcare insurance companies to cut costs for patients and for the healthcare facilities. Thank you from our team for your time and attention. We welcome any questions or feedback that you have.
Hey, Carissa, thank you. Judges.
So how would you market this?
So right now, the plan would be to market directly to healthcare facilities that are being overwhelmed. So reaching out to hospitals or emergency departments that are receiving a lot of calls or a lot of patients, rather than marketing primarily to patients first. So that it would be a way for them to promote getting the information out to patients who may be overwhelming the system.
And how would you get paid for this?
So starting out, this is going to be volunteer-based, but because it still needs to run on a server, we are hoping to partner with either the test kit companies, which are not approved yet, but there are several companies right now seeking FDA approval. And further on, we are hoping to partner with emergency departments because they have a lot of unnecessary visits that are causing a lot of costs to their system.
This is Franklin Boss. Questions. There are no home test kits available now. There's home sampling kits.
Yes.
The testing is actually done in laboratories, unless I'm mistaken. And how are you going to consider with the physician ordering, how does a patient get a home test kit? And then talking through the results of that. You did mention a good idea in working with the insurance companies, because they now provide a service where you can call in and ask questions, usually staffed by volunteer nurses or paid nurses. So connecting with them, because they're the ones that are ultimately going to save money because of not going to the hospital. So move them up on your priority a little bit.
Okay, thank you.
Awesome. I'll get time for one more question if anybody wants to bite.
I have a home test kit company that has FDA registered that I'm involved with. And I do believe that the solution that you're providing would be viable for an organization like that from firsthand experience. I see the competition being very closely aligned with the telemedicine companies that are in the marketplace already and already have the adoption from the insurance companies who are supplementing the cost of that, which is essentially the same thing. So I would steer towards finding a more advanced niche in that space. I think it makes sense during the COVID time, but what does it look like after that? I'd be happy to give you some more guidance on it, but it's a great start.
Great, thank you.
Hey, Jeff, put your company contact information so we can order one of those kits in the chat box for us.
Of course, yeah. We'll just send you one for free.
Love it.
Oh, sorry.
All
thank
right.
you for starting out.
Yeah, go ahead, Carissa.
We're also, because we know we're at a disadvantage to begin with, having our service be volunteer-based right now while there's a pandemic response is a way to kind of get a head start and get into those systems beforehand. But thank you.
Okay. Well, that brings us to the end of initial presentations. We are going to do a couple things. So I know we've got some words from Capital One, and I will kick this over to Garrett here very shortly. We've also got some judging. So the judges have the hard work now. I do not envy any of you. So for the judges, as we start popping over to judging room, you should have gotten a link in your private chats to your judges room. So be sure to use those, and then we will come back here after we deliberate. So we'll have two separate judging rooms, one for healthcare, one for Pre-X. We'll break out. Garrett will hold the fort down, and then we will keep moving, get through deliberation, and then come back and share who won what as a result of demo day. So I will hand the mic back over to Garrett, and we'll get into doing some judging.
Thank you so much, Ace. A big round of applause for all of our students today. I think that was a great testament to their individual academic programs. I think you all did your faculty proud, certainly your Pre-X and healthcare sprint facilitators proud. It's fantastic to see where you all started. That's one of my favorite parts of this whole process, is seeing where these things start and seeing where they end up. So again, to echo Ace's words, if you're a judge, please go ahead and use your private message link and pop on over to our judging rooms so that we can expeditiously get the judging underway and come back to you with some winners here shortly. I opened with talking about how important community was for all of us to be able to make things like this happen. And I think, I'm blown away at the novel responses that our students have had to COVID-19, the diversity of responses to the same problem, to the same challenge, and the humanitarian aspects of what our students in Pre-X are still focused on, how they're trying to improve social determinants of health and trying to improve outcomes for people on the margins, which is something that we're going to talk more about in Da Vinci in the months ahead and at our graduation ceremony. So I think I'll stop there and say we're thrilled to have partners like Capital One that share this common vision, that believe in innovation and entrepreneurship, and not just within their own organization, but in being a catalyst in their community to help all of us achieve what we're working on. And so it's my pleasure to introduce Steve, who's become a good friend here through this process at Capital One, and allow him to talk a little bit about Capital One's vision for innovation in our ecosystem and some of the great work that they're doing over at Capital One. So kick it off, Steve. Cool, thanks, Garrett. Is the audio coming through all right? You're good. Awesome. So appreciate the opportunity to be here. I'm just talk for kind of a couple minutes really on a lot of the concepts that we've seen here today and kind of how they play out in a large corporate environment like Capital One. A little bit about me. So I just want to say, echo all the thanks to all the students and presenters. It's invigorating, quite frankly, to see all these ideas start to come to light. I've actually seen a lot of progress even from we went to one of the mentorship days, just kind of sat in the back of the room, and seeing these ideas mature since then. It's been pretty awesome. Not to mention the immediate and quick impact to fight the COVID crisis. So, so cool. And then on a much lighter note, I really appreciate the invitation to wear a collared shirt. I think it's the first time I've worn one in 8 weeks. So starting to feel a little bit more normal in that. Very excited to be here. So yeah, ultimately Capital One, everyone knows us from credit cards. We're also a top 10 US bank, lots of work in consumer and commercial banking. We were super excited to sponsor this event because we really see ourselves as nothing more than a 20-year-old startup, still founder-led, still passionate about turning ideas into actions. And really wanted to talk about today the creativity, the innovation and design thinking that we've seen in each of the presenting student teams has been essential in our journey as well, from kind of like a very small regional monoline credit card company to a top 10 bank. And as we kind of look forward to the future, we think that these traits are more important than ever. Obviously, not only globally, but within our walls. Takes a lot of effort to steer this 50,000 person company now. In our ability to grow and to change really kind of relies on our ability to embody a lot of the traits that we've seen today. So again, creativity, innovation, design thinking, they've been essential components for us kind of within our history. And I wanted to really talk about 3 specific examples within the last 5 years that those traits were critical in helping us to get over some pretty clear and kind of tangible hurdles. So first of which I want to talk about is that about 5 years ago, Capital One made a massive pivot to move away from being primarily a financial institution to a technology company that happens to do banking. We've poured hundreds of millions of dollars into evolving our tech stack. And while we're not cloud native, cloud wasn't around when Capital One was founded. We consider ourselves cloud reborn. A lot of ways, that's been a lot harder journey to kind of rip out your beating heart and replace it while still running your business. And we've now kind of populated our company and restarted our culture with world-class technologists building world-class apps, DevOps tools, streaming data architectures, and machine learning ecosystems, super cool stuff. We couldn't have got there unless we put our kind of design thinking and innovation hat on, and realizing that all of the work that we did to kind of create our identity as a strong financial institution was not going to get us to the next 20 years of growth. Second example, our evolution to be a platform organization. So we believe passionately that the best organizations can deliver the best customer solutions through their platforms. We've invested a ton into platform architectures, and our platforms have allowed us to support innovation and testing at scale. They've allowed us to really standardize a lot of capabilities. So think like Capital One is globally distributed, like tons of teams, a lot of people doing the same things. They've allowed us to standardize capabilities across geographies to drive efficiencies, and critically, they've allowed us to provide consistent and integrated experiences for our associates, partners, and customers. So if you kind of like look into like how Amazon's evolving, how Google's evolving, Microsoft, platform is kind of the key component for them, how they build these reusable and foundational platforms that allow innovation to be the kind of top 10% and to go quickly, because you can just plug and play platforms across the company. Third example where creativity, innovation, design thinking have been critical for us, our relentless drive to challenge orthodoxies in the financial services industry and provide new experiences that our customers want. So we went to market a couple of years ago with something called Credit Wise, which was the kind of first, like, you don't need to be a Capital One customer. You don't need to use our bank or our credit cards to provide free credit reporting and free Social Security monitoring. Lots of integration with all the credit reporting agencies and pushing that out into a seamless experience to the customer so that you can take control of your kind of financial view and what you're being scored at for loans and things like that. We built a natural language assistant called Eno that detects fraud in real time and works with you to resolve issues. You can talk to Eno, you can communicate with it like a human, flags things if you're over tipping, or if a transaction looks a little bit sketchy, it's going to reach out to you, and you can have a conversation with it to resolve that. So all that investment into kind of natural language processing and then tying that back into all of our transactional systems. And kind of lastly, we've woven WikiBuy into our ecosystem. So WikiBuy is an online price compare tool that allows you, if you're shopping at Amazon, it knows the product you're looking for. If it's commoditized product, it's going to look across Walmart and other large online retailers to see if there's a better price, or if the quantities are more available there, shipping's better, things like that. So kind of like a super quick run through of technology transformation, evolution to a platform company, continually driving new experiences. None of these things, not one, would be possible without creativity, innovation, and design thinking. We've seen that more than ever from you all as students and from these pre-X and health pitches. And we, on our journey, wouldn't be possible unless we were made up of associates who've embodied that coming and being taught from places like VCU and from Da Vinci. So very proud to be a Da Vinci sponsor and looking forward to watching these ideas enter the marketplace and come to life. That's my quick run through. Happy to take questions offline. Otherwise, back to you, Garrett.
Thanks, Steve. And I think one of the pieces that I've appreciated in coming to Richmond was, I think we don't tell the story enough that, you know, Capital One is a Richmond startup story. And I think that is something that's easy to forget given the size and scope of Capital One, but they are a founder-led startup who's been successful. And I think that this idea of large organizations that are successful pivoting is relatable down to small organizations. And when I think about even the Da Vinci Center, one of the things that we looked at 2 years ago, because universities are fairly large organizations and sometimes it takes us a while to pivot. And we started working more collaboratively with our partners at VCU Health and in the clinical side of things, and identified what we thought was a gap around healthcare innovation. And so it was a 2-year journey. So kudos to the leadership at VCU and folks within the Da Vinci team that recognize that healthcare and healthcare innovation should probably move up our priority list, and so that we'd be prepared for the future. And I was thrilled that this spring, the SHEV, which is our governing body for universities in Virginia, approved a new graduate program that's a collaboration between the School of Nursing and Da Vinci. It's a graduate certificate in healthcare innovation. And I cannot, believe the timing that we are able to offer this new program for fall. So I think you saw through the sprint how many talented students we have that when they are able to apply what they've learned in the classroom to real world problems, they truly excel. And we are thrilled to have this new cross-disciplinary graduate level certificate that involves 12 graduate coursework hours, 6 in nursing, 6 in the Da Vinci Center, all focused on health innovation. And applications for that are open now, and the first class will start this fall. And we're looking forward to a cross-disciplinary collective of providers, be they nurses, PAs, any physical therapists, anyone in that health sciences field, combined with our biomedical engineering students, our business students, our informatics students. And a part of that program is going to be healthcare sprints. So we have just been so impressed with the work of our students in this particular healthcare sprint that we're building that into the curriculum of this new program. So this fall, in addition to coursework, which is sort of the traditional academy model, all the students in this healthcare innovation program are going to be working on real world topics from our health system partner in VCU Health and sprinting throughout the program. And I think that is just such an exciting pivot for higher education and for this community to come together and be able to solve these problems. And so, really excited about that. Another exciting update for the teams that are participating today and all those students that were participating in the pre-accelerator program and had to log off because we went virtual to focus on their academics or to focus on their families. Everyone that participated in this spring's pre-accelerator program is going to be part of the inaugural class in our student storefront. And Lloyd, I don't know if we have some images that we can draw up, but this got announced by President Rao earlier this year. We continue to make amazing progress with our partners at Hurricane Construction. And we're going to open one of the first of its kind student storefronts this fall. And it'll be directly across from the Siegel Center, right there on the corner of Ryland and Broad Street. And this will be an opportunity for VCU students to sell their products direct to the public. And I think it can be hard sometimes for us to find the right ways to always engage our community partners and show them the great things that are going on at the university. And what better way to do that than allowing our students to have those personal interactions with our community members in this storefront space. And so students in Da Vinci Center programs and other academic programs are going to be doing customer experience and product validation in a real living storefront. And it'll be give students an opportunity to sell their products directly to the public and maintain 100% of those proceeds from their sales and put that back into their business and into supporting themselves while they go through school. We also think this will be a great space for alumni of VCU to come back and do product launches in this storefront. And so we've had some incredible work done by the Brand Center at VCU to develop branding for this space. It's going to be a really novel marketplace and retail experience that will constantly be evolving with input from our students. And so I think that this idea that students are going to shape what the future of brand and product look like in a brick and mortar as well as e-commerce. And this will be a true living lab. I think that our student athletes right across the street in the Siegel Center have unbelievable student athletic facilities where they can practice and learn and study. And our student scientists have laboratories. And this is for our student innovators and entrepreneurs. This is their laboratory. This is their space to really perfect their skills. And so similar to a lot of our programs, we've really made the pivot to focus on COVID-19 and how we can better help our community. And I think what we're going to use is when this storefront opens, the first thing we're going to do is give a shout out to all of our critical response individuals that have been keeping everyone safe and have been keeping the country open and allowing people to social distance and get the treatment and healthcare they need. And so we're going to celebrate a lot of these VCU affiliated healthcare innovations when the storefront opens. And I'm so excited to highlight the things you saw today in the sprint, as well as the VCU Ventures group and all the things they've come up with the ventilator and other healthcare innovations. And I think you can think of this storefront as a little bit of a gallery opening. And when this opens, it's going to be a tribute to the incredible innovations that have taken place during this challenging time. And then we're going to start to shift the product that's available in the storefront to a lot of the things that were in the Pre-X program. And there will be increasing opportunities for our students to engage in innovation entrepreneurial endeavors and put those things on the shelf. So exciting things to come, things to look forward to when we all return in person. I think the construction was pushed back a little bit due to some delays, and so maybe that aligns perfectly with our new emerging fall timeline for when we'll all be able to gather again in groups. But I encourage everyone to check that storefront out when it launches, and we'll make sure to communicate that to people. And here's some, it's great, Lloyd, thank you. So this is more of that corner of where you're gonna see that storefront. Right there, those big glass windows are gonna be the showcase space where we're gonna be able to highlight student product. And so that's something that I'm really proud of. There's been a great team effort. And again, this wouldn't have been possible without the incredible support of Mark Hurrigan and Hurrigan Construction coming alongside again as members of this community to think about how we can continue to advance innovation and entrepreneurship here in Richmond. And that's just a great thing to look forward to. Thanks, Lloyd. This is what it looks like now. So this is your before shot. It's not what it's going to look like when it's done. But you can see they already put in our X for Pre-X. That's super convenient that was a pre-existing building structure. We're seeing if we can keep that and make it a signature piece in the space as we go through the renovations, which are going to kick off here shortly. So, our judges, I'm getting updates here that our judges are deliberating. You all made it very challenging for them by giving so many good pitches today. We should have feedback here shortly. They're going to be jumping back on with us, and I'm going to allow Ace and Joy respectively to announce the winners of their different programs when they come back to join us. I just wanted to say to our students, thank you so much for persisting with us, both in Pre-X and the HIC Sprint, as well as continuing to stay engaged with your coursework. I know this has asked a lot of you, and I think we are certainly inspired by your ability to be agile and to be flexible and to show us how much can get done under these new digital environments. I certainly have enjoyed sharing, how much you all have been able to accomplish and get done in this environment with colleagues around the country. And I think that, that has been inspirational to have something positive like this to focus on during this time. I'm mindful that our judges had the chance to ask questions of our student presenters today. If there are community members out there that have questions for our student teams, while we're waiting for judges to come back, it would actually be great if you use the Q&A feature and maybe put forward some of those questions from the community to our student teams, and we'll facilitate asking those. I think I saw one come in earlier, which was going back to the N95 sterilization, the UV sterilization of N95s. The question was, post COVID-19, or when that starts to hopefully settle down here, what other uses might there be for that sterilization technology? Have you all thought through how that, triage rack system might be repurposed for other needs? If you guys want to maybe take a shot at answering that for us.
So I think on that front, from what experts are saying, COVID might not be the last of major pandemics that we're going to see in the future. And I think having this kind of system and this kind of protocol on hand for health systems is going to be really effective in the case that there is another emergency like this. And even thinking about repurposing for normal operations, I think there's an avenue where these this just decreases the requirements of the health system to keep purchasing masks instead of reusing the ones they have, and I think that opens up opportunities to increase sustainability, decrease the carbon load of a health system, and also even to just stockpile those extra masks that aren't being used for a situation like this.
Great, thank you so much. Lloyd or any of our moderators, are there any other questions coming through from our community members for our students today? So I'm curious if you all, as students that have been through this process, can you talk about how, engaging in Pre-X and the healthcare sprint, which I should let everyone know, these students are not earning academic credit for this. This is something that students have taken on in addition to their academic coursework. So I'm curious from your all's perspective, can you tell us how has these experiences respectively augmented your academic experience, and what's been some of the learning that you all have had through this experience?
I can say something. Like I said, I'm a nursing student. I've never done any sort of, product innovation. I've done, worked through VCU's Emerging Leaders Program and the LEAD program, but I've never done, product design. And I can say this entire process, it was very inviting, which was nice. And I was able to use what I'm really passionate about, which is mental health and nursing, so I was able to kind of combine the two. I worked with an amazing team. I had great mentors. Everybody who led up the program was just so nice and helpful, and it was a really, really interesting way to be able to expand kind of what I thought I'd be doing right now. Yeah.
Great, thank you. Anybody else want to share?
I would also like to say that for us, we've had our idea for quite a bit of time, but this program has really helped us, with guidance, and because we didn't really, we're really young and we don't know how to start a business or start up an idea like this. So the guidance and the mentorship, everyone just asking us questions that we never thought to ask ourselves about our idea, and it's been very helpful in that way for us.
Yeah, it's nice to see something we're so passionate about just come to life, because we've this program has helped us turn our passion into like a reality, and our passion's just shown through our pitch and our work, and we just hope we're just excited about our next steps.
Yeah, and really we want to make an impact with this, and an impact in America and in the entire world. We want to do something that really will make a difference in the future, and this program has helped us see where we can make it better, where we can improve, and it's been an amazing experience so far. That's all.
Yeah, I agree. This program was absolutely fantastic. I received so much guidance from mentors from various backgrounds. A lot of knowledge was received, in terms of legal aspects, marketing, material, and it was very terrifically structured. I think that, in the midst of it, having to transition to an online and virtual setting, given COVID, this program was beneficial because, we transitioned pretty quickly. And even before some of the coursework and the teachers and the structure of the classroom was, going underhand, we already had some exposure as to like how, virtual meetings were going to be taking place and in what format they were going to be, given out. And I think it was just an excellent program hand in hand to go with the semester. And, I'm very, very pleased with the Da Vinci Center and all the mentors. And I wanted to thank everyone.
I will echo, I think this does not work without phenomenal mentors and facilitators that can walk alongside you all. And I really just appreciate our community coming together today to support you all. And again, commend you all for the work you've done to get here today. And I think that's a good segue. I got the update that I think the healthcare sprint judges are through deliberating. And I think Joy might be ready to join us and start to make some very exciting announcements. So Joy, are you ready to start sharing some good news with folks?
Sure. So I guess what I want to start by saying is that the conversation with the judges was one of a lot of impressive, sort of reflection about how amazing the work has been of these teams. And I think what I want to just continue to reiterate back to all of you is that you've done something really meaningful and important in these last weeks. And so I think that particular piece of it has been reflected back by people who are spending a lot of their time or have had a history of working in the healthcare space. And so for each of the teams, you've really just done an exceptional job. Of course, there has to be a winner, and that's how things work. And so Lloyd, you were going to pull up a slide, I think, with the winners of both the People's Choice, or do I just go to the healthcare sprint? What do you want me to start with, Garrett?
Your choice. Maybe Lloyd chooses depending on what she has ready.
Yeah, whatever Lloyd puts in front of me, I'll speak to. Okay, or Lloyd, you don't have to, and I can just speak to it. Give me, okay, I'll just speak to it. Okay. So I'll start with the grand prize of the healthcare challenge. And what I want to say about this is this team, there were points throughout the time period where they were working where they were iterating, and they were clearly going back and forth and getting more insights from other individuals. But it wasn't until I personally saw the executive summary that I realized how much research they had done in the space in which they were looking at, and how much they had converged around a really meaningful solution. That to what one of the judges said today, they took an abstract problem of how do you help people in healthcare. This is an abstract problem that has been known to be an issue in the healthcare setting for a long time. They took this problem and they not only created a solution, but they created a very practical solution that could be in the hands of healthcare providers as early as next week's. And when we think about managing trauma or managing first responder experiences of interacting in a very challenging environment like healthcare, we don't think as much about it as we assume that there are tools available, I guess is what I mean to say. But the reality is there weren't tools available. There haven't been tools available. And the team at Your Mask First did an exceptional job of creating not only a solution in the space, but a solution in the space in a timely space of experience that we're all in right now, where we can feel the meaningful use of that solution. And so I want to, maybe we do a round of applause for Your Mask First as the winners of the challenge. And every one of the judges was extremely impressed with the work that you all did. And I just want to give them a chance to react to that. But I also have been just blown away. So congratulations.
Yay. Thank you guys. I'm sorry, I'm such a chatty person, but we put in at the end of our poster, which was definitely a sentiment all of us shared. This was like really empowering to be able to work on a meaningful solution when right now we feel so uncertain about our own futures. And so kind of being able to think about how we could put our combined backgrounds together and make a meaningful solution not only felt good because that solution is needed, but felt good to us. So gosh, we're so grateful that I'll stop talking so anybody else.
Yeah, I was just gonna say I'm really grateful for the opportunity. I think I'm speaking on behalf of everyone saying in our group, just saying thank you, and that this was such a great experience. And I know that based off the people I've talked to, the people we've all kind of spoken with about this, I'm excited to see where this will go.
Great. So we'll wrap there, and I think the Pre-X team is back, and I might want to, if Garrett will allow us, switch gears to Pre-X, and we'll rotate back and forth if that's possible.
Yeah, let's try that. Ace, are you back with us for your exciting judges developments? Maybe not.
Maybe not.
Joy, back to you.
Alrighty, so Lloyd, this is where I need your help with the slide for the People's Choice Awards, or not. Okay, I'll just speak to it. Here we go. Sorry, we have a second stream of activity flowing in the background. Okay. So give me just a second. Make sure that I pull up the right information. So the People's Choice Awards, as many of you know, we asked teams to do video pitches. We asked them to do this because we wanted the information about the work that they were doing to go beyond, sort of this community and give them a chance to share it more broadly. And we challenged them to engage their communities and to really share what they were doing more robustly. And with that, we closed the voting for People's Choice last night. And the team that came in with the highest score for People's Choice for the healthcare sprint is the team of Lindsay and Tarith and Nuhash and Sivam and Abu. And so I guess I want to see if any of them are on to be able to react to their exceptional work of sharing their story and the things that they were doing with Safe at Home, and are you guys on to be able to receive the award of the People's Choice Award for the Healthcare Sprint? Yes, no. I don't see them on, unfortunately. So, so we'll just congratulate them offline and let them know that they have received that award, and that we're really excited to see the impression that they made on the community, and really the feedback that they got through that particular award. So Garrett, with that, I will switch back to you.
All right, and we're gonna try it one more time. Ace, now you're here.
Is he here? I keep looking.
Or not?
Nope.
So apparently you all made this much harder on our judges than we thought.
It was a very tough conversation. So I don't know.
I see the judges back, just not Ace.
I think he's in the participants in the main room. Oh.
So Ace, if you're in the main space and not able to unmute, quick jump back on your presenter link and join us.
Let me pull it up and send it to him. Okay, we got him back.
All right. So now, third time's the charm. Ace is going to join us and share the results of the Pre-X judges' deliberations. 3.5 times the charm.
Okay, he said that I might have to announce on his behalf, but I think we just got him unmuted. Ace, can you
What
talk
up?
now?
Yeah,
Yeah, woo.
Hooray.
I'm back. I've been out in the cold winter of cyberspace, trying to get my right link. So, yeah, could not be more thrilled after some tough deliberation in the judges' room. We have come to a finalist for Da Vinci's Pre-Accelerator, and that winning team is Uyoga. Congratulations, team. I'm sure everybody is clapping. Is the Uyoga team still on?
Yeah, we're here. Yeah, we're here.
There we go. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
Way to go, TJ number 2.
So some context there.
I love it. And anything you guys want to say? You guys did incredible work, as did all of the teams, but you edged them out. So props to you. Anything to share? Anything to ask?
Yeah, I wish I could give you guys a virtual tour of the warehouse, but I'm not unfortunately over there right this second, but I'll be more than happy to schedule some time to do that. We have bootstrapped quite a bit. We made a grow tent recently trying to develop these prototypes, and it's been so fun. Yeah, we appreciate that.
Yeah. We so appreciate your time, your energy, and your presence in this, and we appreciate our competitors and all their hard work as well. And we appreciate this competition for this opportunity.
Also want to give a quick shout out to all the mentors. And I think we have one actually who's a teacher here, Kathy, and this has been a long time coming, and we still got plenty of room to grow, but wouldn't be possible without those people. So thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks so much. We've had so much fun with this, and all the feedback you've given has been incredibly helpful to getting us here.
Great. Well, thank you, team. And that brings us to People's Choice Award for the Pre-Accelerator. And that award goes to the Jeeves team. Congrats, guys. You guys got a ton of votes. So you are the People's Choice. And we very much appreciate all of the hard work you guys did alongside your colleagues and put that towards Pre-X. So thank you, guys.
Thank you, Ace. Thank you, all the mentors. We appreciate all the guidance and consideration, and look forward to keeping in touch with everyone as we intend on growing.
Great. So we'll kick it back over to Garrett.
Yeah, and that's a wrap. That's Demo Day 2020. So thank you so much to the technical team, Jason in the background running mission control, the whole Da Vinci crew that's been helping facilitate this on the back end. Another just huge, thanks to Ace and Joy for their facilitation of this. to our students for continuing to persevere and impress during these challenging times, and for all of your impact that you're creating. And a huge shout out to our mentors, our board members, our sponsors. We just so appreciate your ongoing commitment to our students, to their education, and to our systems that continue to run and produce these sort of novel innovations. So we are planning to do a reception in the fall. We're hoping to bring us all together in an opportunity for folks to connect face-to-face or in some small groups. And so we look forward to that invitation coming out later this year, and still bringing everybody together to celebrate these fantastic teams and some of the ones that couldn't be here today. But, you know, thank you all for this morning. It's been a lot of fun. It was great to see all your faces. Great to have so many members of our community together in this virtual environment. And we will facilitate connections between our students and judges and mentors and community members following this. So you're not done with us yet. We're going to keep the love coming. But thanks to everybody. Stay well, stay healthy, and the best to you and your families. And we will look forward to seeing you all soon. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Garrett.